Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your real ID at tsa.gov/realid. That's tsa.gov/realid, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff.
Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is May 6th. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about Peru has suspended gold mining in the north after a massacre. Hegseth has ordered a 20% cut to the number of top Pentagon officials. And the Romanian Prime Minister resigns after this weekend's election. So firstly, mining in Pataz, Peru's northern state, has been suspended for 30 days by the country's president. She made the announcement after the bodies of 13 security guards working at a local gold mine were found by police in a mine tunnel early on Sunday morning. The workers had been held captive for more than a week after being kidnapped. Peru's government also plans to impose an overnight curfew and set up military bases in the region, which is located about 900 kilometers north of the capital Lima. The 13 people found dead on Sunday were employees of a subcontractor of the mining company. Stop. This is just one recent incident, with 39 workers from gold mines being killed recently in the state at the hands of criminal gangs believed to be linked to illegal mining. So what? Illegal mining is a similar problem that is faced in most countries that have high levels of gold that kind of can support the illegal trade. So it makes kind of sense that you would set up military bases to protect this infrastructure, as having your citizens and workers being killed by criminal gangs just doesn't bode well for industry as a whole, and could see a drop in investment in your mining sector, which would have some pretty significant flow-ons to your economy, especially if it's based in mining. And next, United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered a 20% reduction in the number of 4-star generals and admirals, the highest ranks typically achieved in the US military. In a memo issued on Monday, he also called for a 10% cut in general and flag officers and a 20% reduction in general officers in the National Guard. The cut aims to remove redundant force structure to optimize and streamline leadership by reducing excess general and flag officer positions, the memo stated. In a video he posted to X, the tagline was "Fewer generals, more GIs." He also denied that this was a slash and burn exercise. So what? I kind of agree with this kind of move. Lots of Western militaries have become pretty significantly top heavy. New Zealand, for example, has something like 20 brigadiers and only one brigade. So that's kind of my experience of seeing something similar to this. However, removing some significant levels of leadership could have detrimental effects, as quite often it becomes a bit of a backstabbing game. So you end up losing the officers that you probably should have kept and keeping officers that really should be on their way out. But hopefully it's done well and it makes the US military structure a bit smoother, a bit cleaner, and probably saves quite a bit of money, as, generals aren't cheap. And lastly, the Romanian Prime Minister announced his resignation on Monday. His decision comes after his coalition government's presidential candidate was eliminated in the first round of elections on Sunday. In a statement, he said, "We saw how Romanians voted yesterday, which means that our ruling coalition has no legitimacy, at least in this formula." The hard-right populist leader, who won the most votes at 40.5%, as we talked about yesterday, in the first round of presidential elections, and a during the rerun of the original vote from last year. So what? It's pretty good to see that, they're not going to try and fight against this pretty clear majority win by the right-leaning political leader. So it should be a pretty smooth transition. And, well, it's pretty likely that there'll be some pretty significant shakes up in Romania. This is what the people have voted for. Well, they're voting for so far. We still have a second round of elections, to be fair. But it seems pretty clear that quite a large majority want this right-leaning party to come in. So we could see snap parliamentary elections to kind of have a government that the people actually want. And yeah, then we kind of see where Romania goes. It'll be interesting to see if the NATO base that was planned for Romania continues to move ahead, as this new leader seems. It doesn't say that he's like anti-NATO, but he's pretty critical of the EU, and he's pretty aligned with Trump on not giving Ukraine too much, which is kind of a pretty significant change in Romanian policy. So yeah, that'll be a bit of a wait out on that. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you next time. See you.